night, His Majesty says the economy is his paramount concern and that Jordan's northern border is safe. The Cabinet endorses amendments to the land registration fees and illicit fortunes legislations. And a top US commander says a US missile defense system to defend against any North Korean attack will be operational in the coming days. Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. His Majesty the King said the Palestinian issue, the outcome of an Arab summit held in Jordan in March, as well as Syria and Iraq, were at the center of his recent talks with US President Donald Trump. He told former information ministers, directors of official media departments and editors of local newspapers that the economy is his paramount concern. He said Jordan will not tolerate any threat to it from southern Syria or the conflict in its neighboring country. King Abdullah said, "We continue in the policy of defense in the depth without the need for any role for the Jordanian army in Syria and will continue to target Daesh and the terrorist organization." He said the war against terrorism and Daesh goes beyond Syria and Iraq and requires a holistic strategy. He said Jordan's northern border is safe and the kingdom had the capabilities and means to deal with any situation that might arise according to our priorities and interest. His Majesty said no one in the Muslim nation had any interest in Shiite-Sunni showdown and added that differences are political, caused by Iran's interference in the region that should be dealt with. The king said emphasis during his White House talks with President Trump was on Jordan, U.S. economic cooperation and U.S. aid for the kingdom to face economic and financial problems. He said he is optimistic about the new U.S. administration and its approach toward regional issues and the need to find a peaceful solution in Syria as well as fighting terrorism. His Majesty expressed optimism of an effective U.S. approach toward the Middle East and stressed the need for a unified Arab stance in support of the Palestinians. He said Jordan, as current president of the Arab Summit, is coordinating with the Egyptian and Palestinian presidents to arrive at a solution to the Palestinian issue. The Cabinet endorsed an amendment to the 2017 Land Registration Fees Bill and passed it to the Legislation and Opinion Bureau. The amendment, endorsed at a meeting chaired by Prime Minister Hani Molki, is to ensure transparency in the evaluation of land fees, improve the mechanism of setting fees and taxes on real estate sales, and save the Land and Survey Department from the many lawsuits filed against it for refunding claims of the fees of incomplete transactions. The ministers also endorsed another amendment to the illicit fortunes draft law, which grants the Council of Ministers the power to hold all government employees accountable under the illicit fortunes law and force them to declare their receivables or financial assets. These include employees of the Customs, Land and Survey, Tax and other departments that deal most with public money. The amendment is meant to ensure stability of the legislation and flexibility in its enforcement, as well as deterrence against illicit gains and corruption. Agriculture Minister Khalid briefed the Cabinet about measures the ministry had taken to ensure the safety of Jordanian farm produce through its laboratories and agricultural guidance centers. The Cabinet urged zero tolerance with produce quality to ensure healthy and safe food for the citizens and decided to form a ministerial committee to follow up on the issue. Interior Minister Ghalib al-Zabi met Minister of Tourism and Antiquities Lina Annab, Gendarmerie Chief Major General Hussein Hawatmeh and tourism sector representatives to discuss challenges facing the sector. The meeting was to assess measures taken to spur tourism and ensure that all necessary facilities are in place for visitors, starting with their arrival and until their departure. They said a national strategy should be set for the coming years in which security agencies can hold training courses and put forward a tight long-term security plan. The kingdom's cultural heritage and a diverse historic, medical and religion tourism product had turned it into a regional and global tourist destination, with tourism accounting for 14% of GDP and is a job-generating sector for Jordanians in the various governorates. A new crew of the Jordanian military hospital in the Gaza Strip, Gaza 47, took over, replacing personnel who served in the Palestinian enclave in the past months. Gaza 47 Commander Colonel Amjad al-Hamaida said the medical staff will continue providing medical services to the people of Gaza. The hospital's new director, Colonel Hussein al-Dmour, said the hospital has been provided with the necessary medical supplies and specialized medical staff. A Cobra helicopter gunship made an emergency landing after it developed a mechanical failure during a training mission in Ghabawi near Zarqa. An official source at the Jordan Armed Forces Arab Army said the malfunction had prompted the two pilots to make an emergency landing, during which the aircraft hit the ground and caught fire. It said the two pilots managed to abandon the aircraft and were ferried to the King Hussein Medical Center, where they were listed in good condition. The State Security Court handed down jail terms of 6 to 7 years with hard labor against 5 defendants who were convicted of supporting Daesh and promoting the ideology of a terrorist organization. The court looked into 30 terror-related cases where the defendants were accused of ties with Daesh and the Jabhat al-Nusra terrorist group during open sessions held amid tight security. Jordan remembers the late Her Majesty Queen Zain al-Sharaf, the late Queen Mother, who passed away today 23 years ago. Queen Zain al-Sharaf was born on August 2nd, 1916. Over the years, Queen Zain's steadfast commitment to her country and her relationship with its people earned her the title al-Ardaniyin, Mother of Jordanians. In 1944, she created the first women's union in Jordan, and in 1948, she was instrumental in establishing the women's branch of the Red Crescent Society. She was committed to young orphans, establishing the Mubarak al-Hussein orphanage in Amman, which still bears her name today. Her passing away on April 26, 1994, marked the closing of an important chapter in the history of Jordan, but her memory remains a source of pride close to the nation's heart. France said samples obtained by French intelligence show that forces loyal to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad undoubtedly used sarin nerve gas in an April 4 attack in northern Syria. The 6-page document said it was able to search or reach its conclusion based on samples they had obtained from the impact strike on the ground and a blood sample from a victim. Among the elements found in the samples were hexamine, a hallmark of sarin produced by the Syrian government. The attack in the town of Khan Sheikhoun killed scores of people and prompted the United States to launch a cruise missile strike on a Syrian airbase in response. Iraqi military troops announced they had retaken the ancient city of Hatra from Daesh. The military troops, known as Hashd al-Shabi Popular Mobilization Committee, gained ground yesterday, dislodging the militants from Hay al-Tanak, one of Mosul's largest districts on the city's western edge. Hatra, 110 kilometers south of Mosul, is a UN World Heritage Site that was seized by Daesh terrorists in 2014 as they swept through northern Iraq. Turkish authorities arrested more than 1,000 people they claimed had secretly infiltrated police forces across the country on behalf of a cleric blamed by the government for a failed coup attempt last July. The nationwide sweep was one of the largest operations in months against suspected supporters of the cleric Fethullah Gulen, a former ally of Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan. The Turkish Interior Minister said the overnight crackdown targeted a Gulen network of secret imams. In the aftermath of the failed July coup, authorities arrested 40,000 people and sacked or suspended 120,000 from a wide range of professions, including soldiers, police, teachers, and public servants. A top U.S. commander said a U.S. missile defense system that is being established in South Korea to defend against any North Korean attack should be operational in the coming days. Admiral Harry Harris told Congress the United States could defeat any North Korean missile attack on an American aircraft carrier strike group. Harris warned that a U.S. inflection point will come once North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has the military capabilities to match his threats to the United States. Just hours before the entire U.S. Senate was due to receive a top-level briefing on North Korea at the White House, Harris testified that he believed North Korea's threats needed to be taken seriously.
With every test, Kim Jong-un moves closer to his stated goal of a preemptive nuclear strike capability against American cities, and he's not afraid to fail in public. Defending our homeland is my top priority, so I must assume that the Kim Jong-un's nuclear claims are true. I know his aspirations certainly are, and that should provide all of us a sense of urgency to ensure PACOM and U.S. Forces Korea are prepared to fight tonight with the best technology on the planet. That's why General Brooks and I are doing everything possible to defend the American homeland and our allies in the Republic of Korea and Japan.
You're able to.
French presidential candidate Emmanuel Macron's campaign team confirmed his party had been the target of a series of attempts to steal email credentials since January. The Macron campaign said it had carried out counter-offensive actions against the fake websites. They noted the latest attacks were confirmed by security firm Trend Micro, whose researchers found links to a cyber espionage group it has dubbed Porn Storm. Other experts link the group to Russian military intelligence agency. Russia has denied involvement in attacks on Macron's campaign.
We got interested in the group's various methods of operation, and while looking through their phishing campaign, we were able to find over 70 groups around the world, many European and certain French, that were targeted by the group Porn Storm. In France, we found cyber attacks, in other words, fake URLs that appeared since March and which were targeting a domain name linked to En Marche, in other words, the presidential campaign group of Emmanuel Macron.
A stadium-sized super-pressure balloon launched by NASA in New Zealand began collecting data in near space. The balloon began a 100-day planned journey after several launch attempts were thwarted by a series of storms and cyclones. The balloon is designed by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, to detect ultra-high energy cosmic particles from beyond the galaxy as they penetrate the Earth's atmosphere. It is expected to circle the planet 2 or 3 times. The balloon will collect data from 34 kilometers above the Earth. Former tennis world #1 Maria Sharapova prepared herself for her return to tournament tennis after a 15-month doping ban. The 5-time Grand Slam champion has been awarded a wild card for the Stuttgart Open and is due to play Italian Roberta Vinci in the round of 32. With no ranking after such a long period, Sharapova could have been forced to work her way back from the lower ranks of the tennis ladder. South Africa's Kevin Anderson beat 13th seed David Ferrer in the second round on Open. Anderson won 6-3, 6-4 to move into the third round. Also going through is German 8th seed Alexander Zverev, who beat Spain's Nicolas Almagro 7-6, 4-6, 6-4. And finally, it will be relatively cold tonight in the highlands and the desert areas, but fair in the Jordan Valley and the Dead Sea. Tomorrow, sunny spring conditions will prevail across many regions, but relatively hot in the Dead Sea with a high of 34 degrees. The Gulf of Aqaba should expect hot conditions tomorrow with a high of 33 degrees, partly cloudy skies, northerly moderate winds and calm seas. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. All government offices and public institutions will be shut on Sunday as Jordan marks Labor Day. Prime Minister Hani Mulki issued a statement declaring the holiday and congratulated the kingdom's labourers on May Day, which falls on Monday. And to close, here are top stories once again. His Majesty says the economy is his paramount concern and that Jordan's northern border is safe. The Cabinet endorses amendments to the land registration fees and illicit fortunes legislations. And a top U.S. commander says a U.S. missile defense system to defend against any North Korean attack will be operational in the coming days. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Leo Balkar. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you tomorrow.